listening to the Otasso Outdoors Podcast.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
Oh, yeah, he didn't go for it.
Didn't bite
That's
it.
okay.
I thought we were going to do like 4. Like,
There is room for 4.
There is room for 4, but Caleb doesn't do it.
He did it one time.
I did it one time.
Why
It
don't you
was
do it?
awesome.
I just don't. I'm not a singer.
Let
Never
the
happen
beast
again.
out of the cage.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Otasso Outdoors Podcast. Coming at you live from the Pod Bunker. I'm Caleb. I'm your host, and I am joined by Reed Robinson,
Howdy.
Hunter Grishke, and then also special guest today, Bodie Bettis,
Howdy.
in the guest corner. Welcome.
You know Bodie has a super cool nickname?
What's that?
Those of us that are in the know call him Dillo, as in armadillo.
Ironically enough, I was thinking about what other taxidermy we could add in here, and I thought it'd be really cool to have a taxidermied armadillo on its back in the middle of the table holding a whiskey bottle.
Chugging it?
Like the ones you see at Texas Roadhouse.
That's good. I was thinking an armadillo armored possum.
Oh, like an imposter?
Yeah. But it just has armor of an armadillo.
That could be cool.
Have you ever seen like those creative... It kind of... I have a weird thing about it. What do you guys think about the people that take taxidermy and they do like...
Yes,
You know, they take mice.
Yes.
absolutely.
They take
like
mice
dinner for
and they-
schmucks.
Give them
Just-
swords and armor.
Yeah, give them swords and armor, or they'll take like a buck and they'll bedazzle it, and it's like,
What?
or you've not seen that?
No.
No, it all depends on if it's tasteful. Like if you go on eBay, you can get down some rabbit holes of eBay, and the best ones, like the raccoons, are the best. Like
Raccoons are amazing.
like somebody taxidermied a Rambo raccoon holding like a machine gun with the bandana. Like there's one holding like a platter with a tuxedo on and a towel over his arm.
You know what I've really wanted? I always wanted a raccoon that is like has his fingers like this, so he's holding a piece of toilet paper up to you while you're sitting there taking a dump, and it's just like him looking up just so like lovingly with his little teepee in his fingers. I always thought that'd be the greatest.
We could make that happen.
We
yeah.
should start doing like art, taxidermy art.
Well, there's people that do it, and that's what I'm talking about. They'll
Oh.
take a buck and they'll have a shoulder mount, but half of the face will kind of be like a skull poking through, and then they'll put like greenery and foliage coming out of it,
Yes.
and like it kind of looks like this fairy.
I don't like it when they do that.
No,
like
it's
the
not good.
like the super,
super artistic.
mystical. I don't.
Yeah, they bring in like this. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like this Dungeons and Dragons type thing where, to me, it's like that deer lived its life, or that whatever animal it was. Okay, it's kind of funny when you have like the critters, right? You got your raccoons holding teepee. But when you have a buck that is this majestic animal that is the face of American hunting, and you sit there and do something like kind of creepy, and you don't pay it its honor by presenting it in a tasteful way or presenting it in a respectable way. You know, it's just kind of like somebody that does a bad taxidermy job. You're just like, dude, why would you do that? But I'm not a fan of that stuff. I'd rather see something. Yes, it's status quo. It's like, oh, just another shoulder mount. But it's like when it's done well, it's amazing and it honors that animal. But
Looking at the mule deer here.
I like stuff like this. just crusty. I love like crusty taxidermy is my favorite.
I do
Just
love
like Travis and Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan.
I love crusty taxidermy. Don't get me wrong. I actually saw. I have a premarital counselor, and we went over to their house, and she was like showing, or her husband was showing us all these deer that he killed, and they have a mount of a deer that is over 100 years old. And what the? Whose shoulder mounts a bobcat with the hands going like this?
It's just I love stuff like that. It just cracks me up.
But
Hold up. Wait
Yeah.
a minute.
But no, seriously, I saw a shoulder mount of a buck that was over 100 years old. And if you look up in it, you can see the teeth and the mouth still. And like the way they used to shoulder mount, I think they would just, do a European and then build off of that. They don't actually have the forms, and it's a really interesting concept. But obviously, we've gotten a lot better at taxidermy over the years.
Yes, sir.
or worse, because we're kind of going. Like I said, I saw on Instagram the other day. There's some chick that bedazzles deer. Like she takes a European mount and she bedazzles them.
That purple
Disgusting.
crystal stuff.
Well, that stuff's creepy too.
Yeah, that's creepy.
When they grow crystals on the skull,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
it's like a purple crystal.
What
type
kind
deal.
of thing are you sacrificing to? You're doing a little ceremony over here. Yeah, no, bad juju. Bad juju. Stop taking my deer and using that kind of stuff.
On a cooler note, the shoulder mounts that they do, where they'll like wrap an American flag around the form, and then they'll like cut the cape around it.
I do like that.
You've never seen those?
No, what's that about?
Oh,
dude,
it's
they're
so
cool.
well. They'll do
Do
it.
you know what they're talking about?
They'll do it with like wood or like camo. Let me see. American.
You're talking
flag.
about the ones where they cut like
yes,
half up on the shoulder and you can
Yes.
see the flag. Yeah, super
absolutely.
cool.
So you know how like
Oh,
so
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
okay, so
It's
Travis,
like one of those flesh tattoos where
no, like Travis has a cape that wraps around the back. So like say for instance his cape was like wavy. You'll see when I show you. It's crazy cool.
Crazy.
Like this kind of stuff. Like they wrap the form in American flag and then it looks, or they just do it like subtly in the back.
honest opinion,
You don't like it.
He
I
doesn't
don't like it. No. It's an unnatural thing. Like, okay, you have the tag on the deer. Like in this picture, you have the tag on the deer's antler. That's a natural part of the hunting process. There's no deer running around through the woods with an American flag draped over its shoulder.
It's so cool.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It's just an unnatural
wrong.
thing. When I see a skull mount, or like when I see a mount, I want that deer to be as natural as possible or as subtle as possible. It doesn't need to be this like blinged out thing.
No.
You know, keep your taxidermy kosher. Just
Okay, then are you opposed to like really cool pedestal mounts?
such as
Like whiskey barrels or like
no, I like that kind of
The
stuff.
stuff added around the deer, that's cool.
The habitat's good.
Habitat.
Yeah, because I've seen stuff like that, or you know, like you'll see like it'll be like a full shoulder mount, like frontal legs and everything like that, and they'll have them standing next to like an old rickety fence post with barbed wire and like a no trespassing
yeah,
sign.
no, I love
Yeah.
that stuff. That's
yeah,
cool.
I like that. And then if there's like a use out of it, like a whiskey barrel mount, sure, why not? But it fits the whole scenery. Like it's good.
Yeah.
Not taking away from the deer.
Correct. I want it to present the deer. I don't want my eyes to be drawn to this unnatural thing when I'm looking at a piece of taxidermy.
How much do you think it would cost us to pay somebody to turn Travis into like a Billy Bass? Where he could talk, like his head could be on a swivel, like robotic, like the DNR has their dummy deer that they use, and then his jaw will go up and down and he can talk. That would be a worthy investment.
We don't have a real deer, but we have a deer that can talk. Like a
You guys
Anim-
train your deer to talk on the ranch?
yes.
It's those high fence
Like a
operations.
barber shop quartet for a deer.
Speaking of that, I have seen the little mice taxidermies at Barbershop Quartet. I'm opposed to it, but
No, but we do have an animatronic deer that we hang up on the wall. And you can like talk through a microphone in it.
And it moves his mouth. I've seen those. It's like the Billy Bass version
Yeah.
of a deer. But I'm wondering
That's
if we could
pretty
actually
cool.
take real taxidermy and then make Travis come to life on the wall.
speaking of the DNR deer that they use to catch poachers, have you ever watched
Yes.
how they move?
Yeah. Super robotic. Like
their
not
heads are
natural at
hilarious.
all.
And like the whole body shakes when they do it. And it's like, what FUD out there is looking at that deer and he's like, look at, yep, it's a real deer. Like, how many Miller Lights deep do you have to be to take a shot at the robo deer?
Yeah, it's like it's the same thing as like seeing oh yeah, it's an 8-point. And it's a spike when they look to it. Oh, it was definitely an 8-point. No, it's a spike.
You know, a couple weeks ago we were talking with Caleb Reeder. We were talking about the difference between like a waterfowl or a predator hunter versus a deer. Like, you know, waterfowl hunters have sets. We have sits. There's a difference between like hardcore hunters, like real true to the sport hunters, because they say it was like a 115-inch deer versus it was an 8-point. You know,
Mhm.
it's like
Right.
you talk to FUDs and they're all just like, yeah, it had 10 points on it. Maybe they talk about the spread, 20-inch spread, giant.
And here's the thing though, it's like, and I don't want to put anybody in a box. So you feel like if I'm putting you in a box, just
Get out of the box.
Just disregard it. Bring yourself out of the box.
Suck it
But I feel like there's a large majority of them that they're clearly not that into it, but they talk like they are.
Like posers?
I don't know if it's just one of those things like people go from season to season. So when golf season comes around, they get really into it and they're like, yeah, I'm a golfer. And then hunting season comes around, they're like, yeah, I'm a hunter. Because I bumped into a guy last week who went on a weekend trip, and he at the end of the weekend he ended up shooting just a tiny little spike. I mean, the antlers were no longer than my fingers, like your typical spike, but smaller.
Good old fashioned Michigan 11.
Could have been a doe.
Well, and he's just like, it was just like it was the last day, and like I had to do it, and I'm like, I bit my tongue, but I feel like there's a large majority of people out there like that.
I bit my tongue, but I throw punched him. Would have been the appropriate response.
Yep. Guys, if you're tuning into this show for the first time,
right. We have an intro.
if you're tuning into the show for the first time, you'll likely hear many different segments because we have 3 shows within the show. Segment number 1 is What You Got, Buddy? That's where we will bring prepared articles and headlines, and then we kind of discuss them at length. Segment number 2.
Our segment number 2 is our Spotlight series where we pull on our network of people within the outdoors and hunting industry. We bring them into the pod bunker. If they're really special, we'll go to them and we interview them and bring you guys along for the ride. Segment number 3.
Segment number 3 is our game series called Head to Head, where we ask questions, answer them, see who knows more, and crown a winner at the end.
Well, you clicked on it, so you know what today is. We've got What You Got, Buddy? And we've got Bodie in the corner as the guest. He's going to be giving us his input and his thoughts on these headlines. So with that, who's kicking us off?
I'll start.
All right, Hunter.
Yeah, I'll let it rip.
What you got, buddy?
Let me get it fired up here. Let's see.
Should have had it up.
I know. I'm struggling.
You volunteered.
I know. Alrighty. Wisconsin declines to charge bowhunter who killed cougar in self-defense. Headline reads, the Department of Natural Resources said in a news release Wednesday that the bowhunter shot the animal in Buffalo County and self-reported the incident to the agency's violation hotline on November 11th. The department said an investigation showed the bowhunter was hunting deer when the hunter encountered the cougar and shot it in self-defense. The department news release does not identify the hunter or the hunter's gender.
Reed and I are thinking the same thing right now.
What the frick does gender have to do with it?
Nothing.
Okay. I'm not going to go there. First of all, good on you, Wisconsin. I think they're taking the right steps. One, they're not charging him because, well, whatever, declining the charge price is like, cool. If there was a cougar that was coming after this guy, they're going to decline the charges. I think they're taking the right. Them. They, them. Hunter, bring it off, dude. Statistically speaking, most likely male. But, it's like they're doing, I think they're going to take a lot of flack for that because, it's a risky move. But if they're going to say, okay, this is in defense, there's a very good chance that they did a thorough investigation enough to prove that that was the case.
Yep.
It's a ballsier thing to do, so it was probably true. I am really impressed with them not releasing who it was. I'm really glad they're protecting that. And I'm assuming he killed this cougar with a bow.
Which is wild.
Is that what you're thinking, or are you thinking about the gender thing?
Oh, no. The first thing that popped into my head is, I was like, was that Wisconsin, right?
Wisconsin,
I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa, Wisconsin. And then also, I was like, whoa, bow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine drawing a bow back on a cougar? You remember that video of the guy with the cougar chasing him through the mountains up in
with the
Nevada?
handgun, right?
He has a handgun, yeah. How much more intense that situation is?
Oh, yeah, because you miss or wound it.
Shot placement.
Sheesh.
Yeah, bow's impressive, man.
Does it say what kind of bow he was using?
No. No, it does not.
Speaking of bows, I don't want to get down this rabbit trail, but I was reading a 2022 deer harvest report, and they said that 75% of reported whitetail kills were with a crossbow in 2022.
Thanks for stealing my article. Continue. Oof.
Really?
Maybe we should let's transition to Reed.
I just read.
I'm really surprised about the fact that he was able to shoot. I would love to know how it goes down, because the fact that you could kill a cougar with a bow that wasn't treed coming at you or whatever it is, like in that scenario, I'm very, very impressed with that person.
And like they did say it was self-defense. So
But you want to talk about, like, okay, you got the shakes from buck fever.
Cat scratch fever.
Yeah, that is what it is. I just can't imagine drawing back. I'm trying to run the scenario in my head. I can't imagine drawing back on a cougar
I'd be scared. They move so fast.
in a self-defense situation.
Which means he would have had to been on the ground, right?
I would assume
that's
so.
what I'm guessing.
Or he's not telling the whole story.
Yeah.
Even when you think
there's
about
something missing. There's
I feel like
Bodie's skeptical.
I am
Why are
very
you?
skeptical.
Why are you skeptical?
A self-defense cougar coming at you, unless he was in a tree stand and shot the cougar as it was climbing in the tree.
I was thinking about that,
Yeah.
but that would be an extremely hard shot to make.
Straight down, absolutely.
Straight down from a
easier
tree
than
stand.
I don't know.
coming at you. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Because it'd be a frontal shot. So maybe, well, I guess he did kill it. He confirmed that he killed it, correct?
Yeah, he reported it. He killed it.
Was it a lottery shot?
I don't know.
I guarantee you, he wasn't able to keep it.
No.
No, there's no way.
So that way, in my mind, here's the thing: if you're, when it comes to situations like that, if you're not legally able to keep it, there's really no incentive to kill it.
No.
Because like I could see in a situation where it's like, we're going to allow you, if you had killed it in self-defense, you can utilize the animal. If they don't let you do that, what's the point?
Well, that and it was a self-reported thing.
I was just going to say that. I mean, he didn't have to report it, but he did. So it.
Well, yeah. I mean, what would happen if a year down the road he's having a dinner party and there's a full body mount cougar in there, and they're like, "Where'd you get that?" He's like, "I got it on the back 40."
It was self-defense in my my taxidermy.
I just never said anything about it.
Well, you got a tag for this? Well, I don't think they make tags. It's just a piece of paper that just says cougar.
Cougar.
It's got a tag.
Yeah, I'm just trying to run every scenario, because you heard you heard John Dudley's story on Rogan's podcast about being in the wolf den and shooting at wolves coming at him with arrows, right? And this is like the world's #1 archer. That was Dudley, right?
I don't know.
Or was
if
it
was Dudley.
Cameron Haynes?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was Dudley.
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, it was a great story. I think it's got to be John Dudley's first podcast on Rogan, and he tells a story about like them getting into the wolf den, and he had like 2 arrows on him, and it was just this crazy story, and like he's sitting there sniping wolves as they come in at him, and
Is he pulling arrows and reloading?
no, he's like getting down to his last arrow. It's like a harrowing story. If you ever got the time to listen to it, just look up a John Dudley wolf den story. It is so intense. I mean, like just like the Gray, he just doesn't have,
Shatters bottles. And
yeah, he doesn't have like mini shooters, electrical tape to his hands. But I'm running every scenario I possibly could in my head, thinking about like a cougar coming at me, most likely a frontal shot, and the shot placement on that. I mean, maybe he just hit it in like a random lucky shot, and it didn't drop right there, but maybe the thing took off running, and
Or maybe hit it in the head and just dropped it. Or
It
spine,
is
or-
hard,
I don't
even
know.
with a bow. It is so hard to kill an animal with a headshot.
yeah,
I've seen so many pictures of people like finding dead heads that people have shot and like brought, like the bone has grown around the broadhead. I've never seen anybody successfully kill an animal with a headshot with a bow.
There was a video I watched a couple weeks ago. There's an account on Instagram called Kill Shot Central. A guy shoots a black bear in the face with a bow, like straight in the face. It's insane. Like bear gets up and kind of runs down, and he stands up and he's looking at him. And you can see his arrow fly. He's got a green luminoc, and it just
I did
sinks
see
straight into his
that.
head.
Yes.
Thing drops down, and I watched the video a couple times before it actually cut away to the scene where it shows him like with his kill. And I mean, sunk it straight into his face.
It must have been right by the nose where it like went through and then came to the back of the neck where there was not a lot of resistance.
That, or you were running one heck of an FOC.
Yeah. Because if you think about it from the perspective, when I'm talking about shooting in the head, you see most people trying to shoot for the side of the head, and I don't think you can penetrate the skull. It's like stronger than a scapula.
From the side of the head?
I think so, in most cases.
I would think like right front on would be the hardest part.
Could be, but most of the frontal shots you see are going to be right around the nose area, which is all that cartilage, and if you sneak it in below the top jaw.
I just know they've reported stories of, people shooting at grizzly bears at the head, and anything below a 357 will not penetrate the skull. Like they'll bounce and skip right off the
bullets.
Yes, 357 they say is a minimum size cartridge you should carry for brown bear.
Jeez,
and that's a big round.
That's a big round,
dude. They thump big flat. But
Reed,
What you got, buddy?
What you got, buddy?
Well, do I have a surprise for you? Success rates of vertical bow hunters versus crossbow hunters. So although many states don't track this information, available data tends to show that crossbow hunters do have a higher success rate when it comes to harvesting deer than their counterparts.
No dip.
In its 2019 report, Evaluation of Crossbow Use and Season Structure, the Wisconsin DNR surveyed wildlife agency personnel in 19 states where crossbows were legal and found that 3 of those states, Maryland, Missouri, and Ohio, did indeed show higher success rates for those who use crossbows. That being said, I think that was success rate per season. One thing that I was looking up was the success rate of bow hunters in general, shots versus recovered deer. And this is basically just me giving a call to the archery community to step up your game if possible. I know it's difficult, but right now, as it sits, the approximately 50% of deer that are shot with a bow, whether it's a crossbow or a vertical bow, are never recovered.
Oh, 50?
Some deer survived up to 5 to 7 days before succumbing to their wounds. Some of them were found. So
I'm not surprised by that.
Hey,
actually.
I found 2. I found 2 100 yards from here last week.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
They've
what's
both
going
been
on?
shot.
What's going on with that?
I haven't done any work on it to try to figure out who it was.
Okay, but just on the because this is the third. You found 3 this year.
3 deer this season that have been shot and not recovered.
Wow.
One of which was a very, very old buck that we've been watching for a bit.
Yeah, beautiful deer.
So it's like it starts bringing up the question of, is it poaching or do people just suck? The doe definitely the doe had a big hole, so it was definitely a crossbow hole. I feel like you're going to generally get a bigger exit wound from a crossbow just because of feet per second. Correct?
I always just figured it was the
Depending on the head.
yeah. I figured it was a broadhead you were running.
Okay, that is true.
Because when I looked at that picture that you sent me, I was like, that looks like a
That
like
was
a
the
regular-
entrance wound.
Oh, that was an entrance wound?
That was the entrance. Mega meat.
So, anyways, since the early 1900s, or not early, like late 1900s, 1977 is when they started tracking this data. 100% of hunters were using a vertical bow. By 1989, that number had switched from 50% were crossbow hunters and 50% were vertical bow hunters. And since then, there have been probably 25, and this is like across all of North America, by the way. There's probably about 15% more crossbow hunters from 1989 to 2010. There's more crossbow hunters than vertical bow hunters. And then in 2010, 2011, they legalized bow hunting in like a large part of the Midwest, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And since then, there's been a radical increase. I think there's like a 75%, 25% crossbow to vertical bow hunters. Both are seemingly killing and maiming the same amount of deer. The only reason I bring that up is because I feel like we've had a lot of conversations about people that trust their crossbows too much and they wound more deer than vertical bow hunters.
Well, yeah, they think about it from the perspective of, I can just climb up in this blind with no prior training. I haven't fired it once, and all it is, it's just a point and shoot. It's easy enough.
Well, I had a conversation with my neighbor about this. Shout out to my neighbor if you're watching. He shoots crossbow, and he said that he doesn't practice with it. He doesn't need to, because it's sighted in. He shoots it once, it's ready to go for the whole season. And I think that's the difference. I mean, there's just no practice. There's no commitment to it. It's just you bring it out and you shoot. And
seems really boring to me.
It does. The one thing that I'm really curious about is what is I'm really struggling to find this data, and I don't know if it's out there yet, but they compile 50% of all bow hunters, vertical and horizontal, wound deer. They'll shoot and they don't retrieve their deer. I want to know what percentage of compound bow hunters have a success rate on the other end of that arrow versus crossbow hunters. Because it seems like a lot of the crossbow hunters I talk to, you hear a lot of, I wounded a deer, I wounded another deer, and you just hear over and over and over again. And I hear that with compound bow hunters as well. Like, we're not excluded from that. Every bow hunter, whether you are a crossbow or vertical, you will wound deer.
Yep.
But it seems like within our group, I have heard less wounding of deer than versus my crossbow hunter friends. I will
say the reason is practice and proficiency. If you look at, if you look at me on the curvature of getting back into bow hunting, I mean, the first couple of years it was 3, right?
3 what?
3 deer that I wounded. First 2019 I did, and then there was it was 2019, 2020, and I think there were two in 2020. One in 2020 I ended up getting another shot at, and I took him down. But I think I look back, I was not practicing a ton.
It's a direct correlation.
Like, for reference, we shoot thousands of arrows a year. I mean, I think we calculated it. We tried to do the math on. I did, at least, because I know how much I shoot. I mean, we're shooting upwards of 4,000 to 5,000 arrows a year.
We shoot a lot,
and it's not just at a bag target at 20 yards. I think that's also another huge factor into it as well. Is like, there's a lot of guys in the bow hunting realm that I know specifically that they like just that post that was from the Okayest Hunter, and it said, I'm going to put my bow in storage now so I don't have to practice until September and then be stressed out about practicing. Like, there's so many guys I've texted them like, hey, if you ever want to come out and shoot, and they're like, yeah, I just don't really shoot. I'll get it out in September. I've got my 20, 30, 35 pin, and I shoot a couple arrows before season just to make sure everything's all set and we're good to go and we're dialed. And I look at stuff like that, and it's, are you really embracing the beauty and the true? You're not encapsulating the true nature of the sport. And there's so much more than, we're shooting at 100, 80, 70, 60. We're shooting at all different yardages. We're creating scenarios. We're practicing. We're going to total archery challenges. We're doing all of these things that are, in return, sharpening and honing those skills. So there's not a scenario we haven't seen.
I think one thing that I do want to be cautionary of is we get a lot of flack for being exclusionary. Well, you guys think you're this, that, and the other. You think you're all that in a bag of chips when it comes to bow hunting. And what about all these other people out here that just, they don't have that kind of time, or they don't have the range, or they don't. I don't want to be exclusionary at all. Like, if you were to ask me if I could snap my fingers and get rid of all crossbows, no, because it brings a large population, a huge demographic of people that come into hunting. I think what we're trying to communicate and advocate for is there is more available that comes with bow hunting, and it's not just going out and killing deer in the woods. It's like there's this whole culture, and it's basically this invitation to say, like, hey guys, we have a responsibility to uphold this sport that we love and paint a good picture with it. And here's what it takes to do it.
Also, at the same time, like, if people are giving us grief for being exclusionary, it's like you don't know the first thing about us. Like, you don't know you work. I mean, you can practice anywhere. I guarantee you, unless you're living in downtown Chicago, within a 10-minute drive of your house, there is some place with an outdoor archery range where you can practice.
Well, you even take a guy like Ted Nugent that brings his bow on tour.
Yes.
And he keeps a target on tour, and he
shoots
will
all the time.
He practices in his hotel room.
My argument for that is, in life,
He does, dude.
here's my thing. In life, you prioritize certain things. We love bow hunting. We love the ethical killing and the process of conservation and eating the animal. Therefore, because we love that process, we practice to make sure that we are proficient in that area. So what I see when I hear a lot of guys like, "Oh, you just, you're being exclusionary because nobody has all that kind of time." And it's like, well, I don't have that time. I make that time, because if I didn't have that time and I didn't make that time, I wouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, you wouldn't be as proficient as you are.
I wouldn't want to do it. I'm not, like, in the end of the day, like, we're all going towards the same goal. The same goal is to ethically kill an animal, to provide for a family and make memories. But if you're not going to do that to your best of your abilities and you're going to half-ass it, then why do it at all? That's my argument for it.
I see.
You owe it to that animal.
Exactly. And that's the point that I want to go to, is like, we are pursuing the life of something that we value. This sport, this tradition, whatever you want to call it, has a very heavy price that isn't just on us. It's the taking of a life that sustains another life. And, it's a tradition that has been going on for thousands of years. It is inherently involved in how nature works. Like, life kills life. We're trying to do it in the most palatable ways possible. We're trying to do it in the most pure. Like, can I call myself a purist? I'm not trying to pose myself as this elitist thing.
No, it's truly the purest form of the ethical harvesting of an animal. It is the purest form. I mean, maybe the purest. And there's some guys out there that hunt with recurves and longbows, and they're chuckling at us because that's like,
we'll get flack from Trad. But.
Yeah, and once again, like, I lay my bow down at the feet of the trad guys. I'm like, you're amazing. I aspire to be like you one day, specifically because of the tradition of it.
I do then ask the question: it is the purest form of it, but is it the most efficient? No, I'm asking from an efficiency standpoint, because I would argue shooting a deer with a recurve is less efficient than shooting with 300 feet per second with a Matthews.
Yeah, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because studies show that it is more efficient to shoot it with a crossbow if used properly. Once again, they have a higher success rate. I don't know what the success rate is up against bow hunters.
Well, it's not their fault. They can't practice because a crossbow will blow up after 30 shots.
Ravens
This
suck.
is true. Actually, 10 shots or less.
Have you heard? Well,
my dad's blown up twice.
Blown up twice. He shoots a 10-point, right?
He shoots a 10-point, yeah.
Okay, which they're up there with some of the best.
Yeah, they're good crossbows, but they're all pretty much garbage. So.
Have you guys looked in at all to the aftermarket or the secondary market for Ravens?
Mm-mm.
Nobody wants them.
Well, yeah, because they're terrible.
You buy them once.
It's because they're getting bullied by compound guys.
I got my uncle shoots a Raven. He went out and bought the best one. He's a big tactical guy. He likes long range shots. He likes everything. So he's like, I want basically the equivalent of like a long range AR-15 with a string.
Cool. Yeah, a bow gun.
Yeah,
not cool.
I want a bow gun. Well, he saw that they came out with a new model and he wanted to upgrade to the new model. So he took his bow into the shop and he said, I want to trade this in or sell it. And they're like, no, we don't take. He's like, what do you mean? It's only a year old. He goes, no, there's no resale market. The shop was telling him there's zero resale market on Raven crossbows.
Yep.
I mean, you can find them a dime a dozen on like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, stuff like that. Nobody wants them. Because everybody knows, like, hey, that thing is probably at the end of its life. They are so high strung and high tuned that they just start blowing up.
Should we do like a YouTube video and put it on a Hooter shooter and just see how many shots, and buy like 2 or 3 of them, see how many shots before they blow up.
Yeah, if we got $9,000 to do that.
I thought you said the resale markets.
Oh, right. Yeah, go buy some secondary ones. Regardless, like once again, I still want to see the results or the statistics on per arrow sent. What is the deer recovery rate? Crossbows versus traditional bows versus compound bows. I would like to think.
Oh, per category, like the percentage for each, like crossbow recovery. How do you even track that? Though?
Well, crossbow hunters have a higher success rate per season, but there's also 75% crossbow hunters, 25% compound bow hunters. So it would make sense that they would have a higher success rate.
Yeah, it's a little skewed.
Yeah. I just want to know, like, you go out with a traditional bow, you go out with a compound bow, and you go out with a crossbow. Per arrow sent, which deer are dying most? And like I said, I would like to think that it is the compound bow hunters that are taking the most proficient shots. I just don't know.
Because you're forced to. But also, I feel like the guys that don't practice put us in a bad category as well because they're not recovering. I mean, I know several people who have shot multiple deer this year and not recovered them.
Yeah, I just have to stick with my tribe. I'm like, look, because it's a whole, right? You have very good proficient crossbow hunters that do not miss deer. Like they shoot, they kill every time. And you have that, and I would say like the proficient crossbow hunters have a higher success rate than the proficient compound bow hunters because they take smart shots.
Well, there's 10 times more factors that go into it.
Yeah,
just a torsion of a wrist. I mean,
Correct.
punching the trigger. I mean, it's literally like the difference between saying somebody with a 450 Bushmaster versus somebody with a compound bow. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
There's the only thing you have to worry about with a crossbow is maybe hitting a shoulder bone. They're shooting flat. If you got something within 50 yards, it's like shooting with a gun. It's a sure shot. Unless you're hitting a stick or a twig or like there's deflection.
I wouldn't even say that because I think 50 yards is still too far for a crossbow to really have a high success rate.
Well, the amount of people that are shooting deer in that 50 to 60 yard range or more with crossbows is crazy because, like, in my mind, you get to that. I don't care how much feet per second you have. You get into that distance. There are too many factors. You're shooting at something that's alive. You're counting on that freeze frame of that deer not moving.
Well, Levi Morgan talks about that often. He thinks that I think it's 40 to 50 yards is the most difficult range to kill deer at. Compound bow. Because it's just far enough that the deer can hear the arrow coming and duck. But it's how does it work? He says, well, yeah, it's close enough that the deer can hear the arrow coming and duck, but it's just far enough that it gives it that drop time to be able to get down. He goes, once you get out to 60, 70, 80 yards, he goes, the deer doesn't hear the arrow coming as easily. So he goes, he actually thinks that further away from 50 yards is easier and closer than 40 yards is easier.
Whoa, that's interesting.
That. Yeah.
And the problem is that 50-yard range is super tempting with a crossbow. Because, well, yeah, it can go 100 yards, right?
Yeah.
On a stagnant target, yes, maybe you could poke that and get lucky on a few shots. I don't know. I've never shot a crossbow.
We should test that at the 115-yard shot we have here.
I could get a raven out here.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, your uncle's got one secondhand market.
Yeah, he's got like 4 of them because he has to keep buying the new ones.
I'll give him $40 a piece for them.
They're not even worth that. I'd give him 10.
I'm just scared to shoot him. He calls me one day and he goes, "Hey, do you know anybody looking to buy a raven?" I'm like, "How about no?" Anyways, Caleb, what you got, buddy?
Jeez, oh Pete. To be in my defense, I didn't steal yours. I was reading the Michigan 2022 stats, and they were saying that 75% of successful bow hunters were crossbow users.
Yeah, I just think there's more crossbows in the woods now.
Which is crazy.
I think there are too.
It's crazy to think through.
Unfortunately.
All right, gentlemen. Headlines reads, federal government enlists hunters to kill 500,000 invasive owls in the Pacific Northwest.
Count me in.
The non-native barred owl will be culled to protect spotted endangered owls. As a part of the new management plan for barred owls in the Pacific Northwest, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services is calling for 500,000 bird cull, and they need hunters to help. The cull will take place over the next 30 years with an end goal of eliminating 500,000 barred owls from places like Northern California, Oregon, and Washington State. Barred owls have lived in the Pacific Northwest since the 1950s. Over the past 70 years, they have slowly displaced the native northern spotted owl, causing spotted owls to be listed under the Endangered Species Act. In just the past 20 years, northern spotted owls populations have declined by 30 to 80%. Wow, it's a big range. Everywhere the spotted owl can live and thrive, the barred owl can thrive and do even better. Barred owls are bigger and more aggressive than northern spotted owls. Therefore, they're better at finding food, and they have a more varied diet that includes insects, reptiles, and small mammals. What do we got on this?
I don't know if I could do it. I don't think I could kill an owl.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
You could?
Oh, it'd be hilarious.
Man, I think they're too cool.
Even if you knew it was detrimental to an even cooler owl species. It's like pretty much the reason they're enacting this is because they're having like the spotted owls are pretty much going extinct. And it's all on the hand or all on the wings of the barred owls.
Did it say that humans introduced the barred owl to the Pacific Northwest?
It did not specifically say.
Specific.
It did not specifically say humans did.
Pacific Ocean.
It says barred owls have lived in the Pacific Northwest since the 1950s, though. Over the 70 years, they're a more aggressive owl. So over the last 70 years, they've displaced the spotted owls. So I understand if it's a situation like wild hogs where humans brought them and it's not a natural species, but it is a natural species in the area. It's just more aggressive. So do we just let nature take its course?
I don't know.
That was my knee-jerk reaction, is to let nature fully take its course and be like, look, let the bigger owl win, let the more aggressive owl win. That's how it goes everywhere else. That's supposed to be natural. I think this is an amazing opportunity. People are going to get fired up about it no matter what. I think it's an awesome opportunity to showcase how well the hunting community can help conserve and protect certain species and populations. If done properly and done correctly, there's going to be some phenomenal data on the back end to showcase, here's when we introduced the hunters. Here's the population of the spotted owl going up. Yes, it's unfortunate for the population of the barred owl to go down, but here's how we saved it. And it was done through the ethical and controlled killing and culling of something that people enjoy.
They're trying to get 16,666 owls killed per year. If you take that 500,000 and you divide it by and you divide that by 30 years. It's a lot of owls.
Can you eat them? Genuine question. Like, could you eat them?
Bodie?
Yeah.
Bodie says you can eat owls.
If there's an
they
owl on your
good?
high fence operation, can you shoot it? Because it's within your fence.
Do you own the airspace?
Anti-air defense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's attacking your deer.
I have wondered that.
Oh, okay.
I have not killed one, though.
I was going to say, I thought you were about to say, I have. And I was like, this is
I
recorded.
have wondered that. No, but I don't. No.
I'm curious what
I
they taste
want
like.
to kill one, yes.
So, do we get on this list and go to the Pacific Northwest
Yes.
with shotguns?
I'll shoot them and see what they taste like.
I don't think there'd be any way to, because owls are predominantly nocturnal.
Yeah.
That'd be.
Spotlights.
You're also in a area with mountain lions and lots of bear.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, but a thermal scope on a shotgun would be sick.
It would be pretty cool.
Just running night vision on
Bodie
your
just got real
Remington
excited.
870.
Dude.
Coon hunting just got way better for Bodie.
Oh, man.
Have you guys done coon hunting on the property yet with predator calls? Okay, if you want to do the most fun coon hunting of your entire life,
use predator call.
Get a predator call and play raccoon fighting. No, seriously, dude. Play raccoon fighting through the predator call and sit by a tree and wait.
Really?
They come running.
Really?
Oh, it is phenomenal. They you'll just sit right by a tree and just, they come flying in. Just, you blow them as they go, and it doesn't matter. 10 minutes. Do 10-minute sets, and it is hysterical.
I'm gonna have to do this.
I'm more of a fan of ripping through the woods at 50 miles an hour with no headlights on a flatbed truck.
That was such a fun night.
So
sad.
I'm going to paint you guys a picture of coon hunting at Two Hats Ranch. So
this is not something a package that you can buy. By the way,
yes, no. This is
This is a Bodie Bennett
This is
special.
exclusive.
It can be.
For the right price. So this is post podcast. It's about, at this point, I want to say it was probably 12:30, maybe close, knocking on the door of 1 a.m. And being the old soul I am, I'm sleepy. I'm ready to go to bed. And Reed and Bodie are like, "What can we get into?" And I see Bodie look at Reed and he's like, "You want to go coon hunting?" He's like, "Yes." And so next thing we know,
optional question.
next thing we know, Bodie pulls up in this Ram 2500 with an aluminum 3500.
Come in.
Sorry, gotta make the balls a little bit bigger. This aluminum flatbed, and we've all got flashlights. So he turns the headlights off on this truck, and what we're doing is there's feeders stationed all over this big ranch, and so Bodie knows right where it's at. So we're barreling through these woods with flashlights, kind of guiding our way so we don't crash into a tree. And he'll holler out, "Hey, we got a feeder coming up in 250 yards." And we come whipping into these openings, and it's just all flashlights on the feeder. And I don't know because I'm in the passenger seat. Reed is standing on this flatbed up above with a flashlight like a Taliban on an EKG. And we come whipping into these feeders, and there were 2 or 3 times where I was scared that Bodie didn't even put the truck in park. And he just I've never seen dudes I didn't know what to expect. So we get to this first feeder, and there's coon, and the truck goes in park, and then all I see is Bodie and Reed and just flashlights going sprinting into the woods. And they get him up this tree, and you shoot him, and then we go on the flatbed to the next feeder, and it was a freaking hoot of a time.
The best ones were we'd come around a corner, and Bodie would be like, "Coon on the right," and he'd be turning into it, and I'd just whip my barrel around, and as we're still rolling, he's just leading them out in front of me, just dropping coons, laughing my head off, saving the deer.
Yes. The caveat to inform the people who are listening that are upset about the merciless killing of coons. What is the?
No, I had mercy.
What is the detrimental problem that coons cause to deer?
They take away the deer food. They eat deer food.
Anything worse than that? Do they ever carry disease? Do they bite deer?
Raccoons don't. Raccoons are pretty friendly to deer, I think. I'm pretty sure. It's like the possums. The possums carry disease.
Really? See,
Yeah.
I always
that's
read...
a big thing with we were on the whole don't kill the possums because they're harmless, but then we found out they eat ticks, and so that's why we were don't kill the possums.
Right.
But we figured out they carry diseases and they bite horses. My aunt has a bunch of horses, and then they'll bite the deer. And
Interesting.
yeah,
Because I didn't. There must be other diseases. It'd be interesting to know because I was always told that possums cannot carry rabies because their body temperature is too low for rabies to survive.
I don't know if they do. I don't know if it's rabies.
But it's a different diseases that they carry.
I don't know if it's rabies, but
It's probably Lyme's disease. from
Lyme's
those
disease.
yeah,
snakes.
I think it. Yeah,
No, really, I think it's Lyme's disease.
yeah, I think it is Lyme's disease.
Yeah.
And then raccoons are rabies, but I've never come across a raccoon.
I really don't like raccoons. They're gross.
What do you,
So
I'm liking this predator call. I'm gonna start capturing raccoons and make a raccoon community.
You should train them to hold up the toilet paper. Okay.
Just
I have-
all,
I have
just
like an
all
army
throughout,
of raccoon
just all throughout
butlers.
the lodge. You walk in and one greets you at the door.
Walks you to your
Welcome.
room.
Welcome, sir. Yeah, if you're teaching deer how to talk, you can teach a raccoon. But you should look up. There is a disease that raccoons can pass off to horses through getting their manure on their hay. And I'm sure there's got to be like the quadrupedal. There's got to be a correlation between raccoons pooping on your guys' corn and deer picking up disease from that. And that would help you justify the merciless killing. Critters, you can kill critters.
Well, it's called
Critters, yeah.
the technical term for it is Baylisa acaris infection. It's pretty much called roundworms, and it's even like dangerous for humans too. It's in
Ringworms?
No, roundworms.
Oh.
It's weird. It's super freaky. So it's in their poop, and the eggs that are in that poop, the eggs of the roundworm, will stay dormant until they're disturbed, and then if the eggs get airborne, they get in your lungs, and then the eggs turn into larvae. And
That's disgusting.
yeah.
Wow.
Yep, that's wrong.
It's pretty
Talk
freaky.
about getting down with the sickness.
Dude, that's
So-
wrong.
So
I just
a
feel
word to the
need
wise,
kill
like-
everything now.
word to the wise, like if you ever have raccoons living in your attic that have pooped and stuff, like don't clean that stuff up without having like a respirator.
You have to
Don't
have a
breathe.
respirator.
Stop breathing.
It's brutal. It's so bad. If you've never cleaned up coon crap without a respirator, it's so
Nasty.
bad. Instantly you want to vomit. It is so brutal.
I'm trying to find a picture of like roundworms.
I don't want to see it, honestly. Yeah, I have enough excuse
Worms
to kill
are
raccoons.
nasty, man. I'm not a fan.
Worms are gross. We
Worms.
don't like worms.
Ringworm, roundworm, worm, whatever.
Wormholes.
I will say ringworm is one of the most tame because like it's not an actual worm.
Oh, really?
No, ringworm is like it's like
I've had
it's like a
ringworm, yeah.
form of athlete's foot, pretty
Yeah.
much, or like jock itch, but it just shows up in little weird rings.
I've not had ringworm, but I
Because
have
you don't
had
if
Lyme's
you,
disease.
you don't change your underwear.
Regardless,
It's got
okay.
real dark.
I just want to like add one thing to that coon hunt that night. That was the most stressful coon hunt I've ever been on in my entire life. Not because I was standing on the back of a flatbed truck with no headlights doing 45 through 2 tracks. It was the fact that I could have shot a potentially $30,000 animal. And I had no idea. Because we're looking for eyes. And as we're cruising along, it's like, eyes! And then you pivot and, like,
And it's
you're
just
watching
deer.
it. Yeah, and then they kind of do that like head thing, that bob. And you know what's going on.
What's going on?
Yeah. And it was just stressful the entire time. Like, don't shoot the deer. Don't shoot the deer. Don't shoot the deer. It's not okay. But well, I think we ended up with like 4 coons and a possum that night.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
That was great. I was tired. I was also bummed because my flashlight was super weak. We needed like big like floodlights.
Yeah, I was poor preparing.
Yeah,
my part.
subpar flashlight game.
Red light.
Red light.
Run red light on raccoons. They can't see it. The 3 most fun ways to hunt like raccoons is with a red light. You just go out and you spot for eyes, and you like hit them, and you can get right up on them. They have no idea you're there. 2.
Hold on. They can see in the dark though, right? So they can't see red light, but they can see the 3500 flatbed coming barreling at them.
I like the chase. I want them to know I am coming for them. You
Bodie's
better
here.
run.
With a red light. Number 3 fun way to hunt raccoons. Number 2 is with thermals.
Yes.
Very, very
Oh
fun.
my goodness.
It's just tricky because you're like scanning through trees and there's no depth perception. So you could have a raccoon 400 yards off or like 50 yards
Depending on the thermal, I think.
off. Yeah, it's just hard
Yeah.
because you'll pick up on one in the tree and then it's just going to get it is very tricky because your angles and you're like.
Yeah.
So number 1, daytime with a predator call.
Daytime.
Daytime.
Ah.
Yeah, daytime shotguns predator
Really?
call. Hilarious.
Camo. No shotgun. Tackle.
Naked with a neck gainer.
Roundworms.
Jumper cables, sand wedge.
Guys, thanks for tuning in today.
No.
Oh.
Oh.
Bodie,
Yes.
we
No,
have 2
no,
deer.
no.
Yeah, no.
Thanks for tuning in.
No, we have 2 deer. We have 2 deer similar in size in the pod bunker. What do you think Travis scores?
Travis the mule deer.
Travis the mule
No
deer.
brow tines. That's the first thing I noticed. I mean,
He has one.
He's got
He has
got a
one.
nub.
I don't.
Do muleys often have brows? I don't think I've ever seen a mule deer with brow tines. What? I could be wrong. I feel like whitetail all have brow
I need to
tines.
look at a picture of a mule deer. Travis. Can I stand? I can't see his.
Yeah, you can stand
You
up.
can do whatever you need to
Hold on.
do.
It'd be really funny if Travis is the only mule deer with a little brow tine.
And we just happen to have him in the pod bunker.
Caleb, I feel like you're right, though. I typically don't see mule deer with.
No, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, they're very small. They never have brows like whitetail.
Nubs.
They are almost every
Nubs.
yeah, almost every mule deer I'm looking up here has like 2-inch brows.
Yep.
Nub tines.
Nubbers.
Yeah. The professional score. He ain't no Boone and Crockett. He might be a Pope and Young though.
One.
We don't know, so you could say any
You
number.
don't know.
No, we don't know.
Oh, 205.
Perfect. Write it down, boy.
I want to say around like the 135.
That's respectable.
I think 130, 136
136.
Okay.
because of the.
All right, we'll score.
135 and 3/8.
We'll score him. Okay, second deer, very close in size, potential booner. We don't know. This is Caddyshack.
The mass on that deer is gonna throw me off.
Okay.
I don't.
We've scored him already. We know what he is.
This is a known scored buck.
We actually put the tape on him.
But
He scored.
Did you measure from the center of the antler on that one point?
No.
You didn't from the base.
No.
Okay.
suburban roadkill.
You're good at judging 200 plus inch deer. You're good with big antlers. How good are you with small antlers? We know
Small
you can
ones.
judge a 235 and 3/8.
Oh man, I'm gonna guess. I'm just gonna go flat out 7 inches.
No. Because you
Am
got
I
to okay.
really
Because
very
you
far
got to
off?
count. You got to. There's multiple measurements here. You got to count the main beams, and then you got to count the G2 on or the G1 on that side, and then you actually get the spread. You're close.
Oh, okay.
You got to count the spread too. He gets a spread credit. Every buck gets a spread
He's
credit.
got a good spread.
Okay, then I'm gonna go. $14 and 6/8.
That's not a bad
that
guess.
was
not a
close.
bad
That was
guess,
close.
man.
Wasn't it 16 and 5/8?
16.5 on the money.
That was a very bad guess.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack.
He died on a golf green.
Speaking of that, we've been picking up all of our roadkill deer this year.
That's what Caleb said.
Everything that we can find that's roadkill hit, we've been getting salvage tags on.
Sass. Yes.
Salvage tags.
All
tags.
salvage
Salvage.
tags.
I have all of them in my email. I got all my salvage tags for every buck. And we are paying homage to all the bucks killed dishonorably, and we are going to do European mounts with black skulls, just to subtly reference the fact that they...
Caleb's going to be doing European mounts with black skulls.
I've been providing a lot of
Should
deer.
make your own roadkill chandelier out of antler shit.
That's an idea.
Oh,
Put it right
with
here.
red eyes.
And like have like, okay, this is the 2023 roadkill chandelier.
That's actually kind of cool.
Or just make a really big tree out of it.
A totem pole.
That's what we were
We've been
gonna do.
considering a totem pole.
Yeah,
An antler Christmas
Totem
tree.
pole is kind of demonic.
a little bit.
Yeah, a bunch of black skulls.
I mean,
on
if you're
a
gonna
pole.
make a black, I mean,
Yeah, we've been toying around with the idea of what to do with all our roadkill deer. But if you guys have any ideas on what to do with our roadkill deer, we're going to paint the skulls black to pay homage to deer dying dishonorably.
Yep. So send us a message. Let us know what your thoughts are. What do we do with all of our roadkill deadheads that we got Salvage tags for.
Don't put those in air quotes. We have salvage
That
tags.
was not
for
air
you.
quotes. I never quoted. It was salvage tags.
Get your salvage tags.
We got them.
We have them.
We will put the salvage tag link in the description.
Yeah, if you want proof. Yep. Guys, thanks for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. As always, our Instagram is atasso.outfitters. That's where we kind of post snippets of these podcasts. The full-length videos are on YouTube, which is Atasso Outfitters. Our website is atasso.outfitters. That's where we have our merch shop, which has our hoodies, hats, sweatshirts, which Bodie's rocking one of our hats tonight. The new unreleased quarter zips will be coming soon. We've got some really cool guests lined up in the next few weeks, so make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and Spotify so you get alerted every time an episode drops. Any other thoughts, comments, concerns? Bodie, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you guys, and we will catch you on the next episode. Have a great night.